And welcome, folks, to another iMoot 2016 session. And we have the glorious Scott Huntley here to show us Moodle on a really small computer. Scott, you may be familiar with some of his work with the Internet of Things and other Moodle stuff. He has done some fantastic presentations, so I'm really looking forward to this. Over to you, Scott.
All right. I don't know if I can live up to this one. Like I said, this one was a little bit thrown together, but I'm kind of known as the IoT guy, so I thought I'd better do something like this. So Raspberry Pi, let's get started with this. Really what I wanted to start with is my journey as an IoT Moodler, and that sort of started with a simple question: can I take two buzzwords and mash them together and actually make something coherent? So I don't know about the coherent part, but I was able to mash them together. I actually went to two Moodle Moots with a presentation last year all about IoT and Moodle. And the idea was, can I actually make these technologies work? And as another simple question, how far can I milk this? I actually went to a couple of tech conferences. And so originally it was interesting talking to educators about this techie subject. And then I started talking to techie people about an education subject. So it was a real interesting sort of last year where I went around and I talked about all these IoT, the future, and how are we going to actually merge these concepts. So part of the problem is I've been a little bit typecast. So I go to other e-learning conferences. I've gone to two other ones, and everybody was like, where's your flashing tie? Where's your boards? Where's all your chips? Where's all your toys? And I'm like, I didn't bring any because that's not the point of the conference for this time for me. And everybody always gives me this sad face. So I think I've been a little bit typecast. And so I might as well embrace my destiny. This is who I am. I'm the IoT Moodler, and there's no way around it. This is who I am. So I thought for this presentation, I have to be the IoT Moodler. I can put in about my competency-based presentation, which is coming up later tonight. But I really needed to do something fun, and I wanted to do something kind of just for the lulz, as they say, something very experimental, something that maybe will break. Hopefully, it will break in the middle of the presentation. That's always the best ones. So I wanted to go back to those experimental roots. So today I wanted to talk about a Raspberry Pi, and I've been playing a little bit with Raspberry Pis lately. I don't know why. I just, last year, it was the year of the Arduino and the microcontroller board. So let me see, get that in frame. So I went around, and a lot of my presentations, I based them on the Arduino. And what can we do with Arduino? What can we do for, where are my wings? That's a reference to the last conference I was at. The idea of how do we hook up sensors? And we actually take those sensors, take that data, and put it into Moodle. So I've been playing a lot with Arduino. I still love Arduino. I'm still mainly an Arduino guy. In the last little while, I've started to get more into Raspberry Pi. So this right here is the Pi 3. I have a few of them. Much like the Arduino, I found that I'm better at collecting boards than I'm at actually building something with them. And I think I counted, I've got 40 Arduino or Arduino clones, 40 or 50, somewhere in there. And I'm nowhere near that with Raspberry Pis, but this is my Raspberry Pi 3. I have another Raspberry Pi 3. I've got a Raspberry Pi 2 and a B plus, I think. What am I going to do with them? I don't know. Originally, I was thinking media centers, but how many media centers do I need in my house? I'm not sure. Anyway, so I thought this is a lot of fun. Let me just talk for a second about the Raspberry Pi 3. The previous Raspberry Pis, you actually had to plug in a Wi-Fi dongle, and I'm looking around, and I didn't bring any Raspberry Pi 2s with me. That's fine. So I actually had to use one of the USB ports for the Wi-Fi. Raspberry Pi 3, what I love about it, Wi-Fi built in. So suddenly you can do all kinds of more crazy stuff. You've got an extra USB port to do whatever. One of the things I built with it was a Atari 2600 emulator, because when I was a kid, my parents would not buy me an Atari, and as a 40-year-old man, for some reason, I had to get back at my parents by being at my own Atari. Anyway, as cool and as fun as the Raspberry Pi 3 is, I didn't want to talk about the Raspberry Pi 3 today. I've got another one here. Now, this one's got a case on. Let me just hold this up. Where's my camera? That's the Raspberry Pi Zero. This has got a really beautiful case on it, actually, and you probably won't be able to see it. It's a nice wooden case. I've got another version of it right here. It's a little bit hooked up, though, so that's why I don't want to mess with it so much. That's tiny, teeny, teeny, tiny. It's absolutely, I couldn't believe how small it was when I got it. I knew that it would be small. I didn't know how small it would be. So the Raspberry Pi 3 in Australia, it's, we're dealing with the currency thing because it's a global conference. In Australia, I think it was my local distributors charging about $65. The Raspberry Pi Zero, it was touted as the $5 computer. Now, $5 computer, is a little bit of a misnomer. It's never really actually been a $5 computer, at least in my opinion. Why? Because to actually get it to work, and let me hold it up again, the connected one, you actually need all these little bits and pieces. So this bottom here is the power. That's going to cost you, maybe $10. Maybe maybe you already have it around the house, so that's not going to cost you too much. This next little port there, that's like the only way you can actually connect to it. That's a USB port, a micro USB. So to actually plug in a keyboard, mouse, an actual little hub. Am I muted? Sorry? Is somebody trying to get a hold of me?
No, you're not unmuted, Scott. You're good.
I'm good to go? Okay. Sorry. I thought I heard somebody trying to get my attention. Okay, so you actually have to get the hub. That hub, that's going to cost you a little bit. Plus, on top of that, its output for video is a HDMI, and you have to get a special HDMI connector. The reason being because it's actually a teeny, teeny, tiny HDMI. So a regular, I can't see the camera, a regular HDMI doesn't actually fit. So you have to get the adapter as well. So they like to say this is the $5 computer. I call BS on that. It's actually cost me more like $40. Even this one, I said about $35. I didn't take into account all the little accoutrement. On top of that, when they say the $5 computer, try buying one right now. Out of stock, out of stock, out of stock. I'm lucky. I've got two. I've actually, because of anything in demand, I paid a little bit of a premium. That's the way it is, right? So even though this is touted as the world's cheapest computer, the cheapest computer, take that with a grain of salt. You're not going to get it for $5. That said, it is amazing at how small it is, and they're producing more and more. I'm sure that the price will go down once the supply comes up. The problem is everybody wants to play with it now. It's just as somebody said, it's the early adopter rush. And yes, it was actually at one point in time. This was given away in a magazine in the UK, so they actually had it as you can buy a magazine, get a computer. I did want to mention this. I'm a big Kickstarter guy, and this is a Kickstarter that just ended. Sorry, it's the IoT hat for the Raspberry Pi, and this is look, I've got no commercial interest, so I don't have any interest in this company. It's a company called Red Bear. And they've done a few successful Kickstarters already, so I don't know. We'll see how this one goes. It's supposed to be coming to me in, I can't remember when. Probably not going to be for a few months. But let me get to my point here. It's a hat, which means it will be another board that will go on top of my Raspberry Pi. In this case, I'll have to take the case apart, but I might try to modify the case and put it underneath. Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. That means I just need the battery to power it, and suddenly I'm walking around with my computer in my pocket. So literally, I'm connected, and I could be walking around, and this could be running, say, a server. So even like a CMS or even an LMS. So when I say Raspberry Moodle on a Raspberry Pi, Moodle on a really, really, really small computer, that's what I'm talking about. So as you can tell, this one's connected, and let me just connect that back up a little bit here. What's the next slide? Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, look, this is going to be impossible to show you guys, but behind me here on the screen, sorry, I just don't have a good setup for this. This is my Raspberry Pi running right now. Screen resolution's a little off, probably because I wasn't supposed to unplug the screen when it was running. That's fine. What I'm going to do is, it's going to be really difficult to show you how sluggish Moodle runs. Moodle does run, but it is a painful, painful process. So what I might do is I'm going to keep talking. In the background here, if I get a chance, I'm going to start to try to restore a course. There's no really way that I could actually show you. I didn't want all of you to go to my site because it's going to A, crash my internet, and B, I think it's going to totally melt down the Pi. If you want some proof that it's running, I'll record a video later on. Why not use a headless install? Yeah, I did do that. It's not so much the screen that's the big deal. It's the actual logistics of getting that delivered in time for the conference, and like the actual delivery of the screen. Yeah. In the background, it is running. What can I report about its performance? Its performance is terrible. You do not want to run Moodle on this. You don't want to run anything on this that's like a actual mainstream big server. I was thinking maybe potentially I could run WordPress on this, but again, it would just be to prove a point. Yeah, you can run a web server. It is, I've installed a LAMP stack, no problem, but it's just the actual performance is not very good. Apache, a LAMP stack, yes. That said, I've got a couple other boards here, and I just want to talk about them. And the first one I'm going to talk about is this one. This is the Pine 64. Let me see, where's the screen? Yeah, Pine 64. Now look, this one's bigger. You can tell it's a lot bigger. It's not got that wow, small, tiny size. This was from a Kickstarter, successful Kickstarter a few months ago, and it's one of those cases of a sometimes on Kickstarter there's a project that's so successful that it almost causes a failure. I have a feeling that Pine was a bit like that. They weren't expecting to do as well as they did, so they're having trouble getting enough of these built and delivered to people, and some people are really cranky that they don't have their Pine. This is the 64 Plus, so it's a little bit better than the 64. I was stupid. I didn't get the Wi-Fi. I don't know why. It arrived, and I was like, it's been months, so I forgot what I ordered. And I was like, why didn't I get the Wi-Fi? So I've ordered a for the Wi-Fi, but of course, that puts me at the back of the list for when my Wi-Fi gets delivered. They said August. I don't know. I was able to run Debian on this. Debian is a version of Linux. And the Linux that I had, I picked Debian because Raspberry Pi, the default operating system, Raspbian, is based on Debian. Ran Debian on this. Moodle performs really well on this. Still not desktop, still not competitive with like an actual real solution, but I was quite surprised at how responsive it was. It was good enough. It was good. So really good on this one. Now this one, as I said, it was a bit bigger. What I like about this one, $15 US. That's for the just the Pine 64. The Pine 64 Plus is $19. Still, you're getting like a computer for less than $20. And because it is bigger, which you at first think that's a bad thing, the truth of the matter is a lot of your like bits and pieces will actually fit in here really nice. So you don't have to worry about the small little hub. You've got normal size USB. You don't have to worry about the monitor because you've got a normal size HDMI. You just plug it in. The power, I'm trying to remember what that actually picks for the power. I think it's 2 volts, 5 amps. You can probably find a charger, a phone charger. You can probably find something. The power actually comes in as a micro USB. So really, like when we're talking about in terms of cheap, even though the Raspberry Pi Zero is theoretically cheaper. This one, I believe, actually trumps it. I think this is cheaper by the time you add in all the bits and pieces you need for this one. A couple other boards. I didn't get a chance to install Moodle on them. I didn't really get a. I've been playing with them a little bit. This one of my favorite boards. This is called the Udo, and this is the Udo Neo. And what I love about this board, it's got Linux. It's a single board computer, so I can run Linux on it. But the pin layout is the exact same as Arduino. So I said I'm an Arduino guy. I can take my Arduino shields, plug it in here, and I've got the best of both boards. It's called the Udo. Let me just write that down. UDOO, Udo Neo. I am totally in love with this board. I think it's great. I think the company, they've done 2 successful Kickstarters. They're in the middle of a 3rd one right now. Look them up. They know how to do that. This came to me really quick. They do a really slick job for this whole Kickstarter campaign. They're really good. Yeah, so as I said, I really love this board. Runs really well headless. I wish I had time to try Moodle, and I just didn't. The next one I wanted to show, let me see. Yeah, I'm up to this one. Right here, I've got my Altoids. You might think, what am I showing you that for? No, that inside here. There's actually a computer that fits inside an Altoids can. This is the BeagleBone Black. So there we are, BeagleBone Black. Yet another one of these boards. Competitive, I say, it's comparable to, say, the Raspberry Pi 2. What would you do with it? Why would you get a BeagleBone Black as opposed to a Raspberry Pi? I have no idea. Like I said, I'm at the point where I'm collecting these for some reason. I'm not actually building anything with them. This is a bit of my own sort of insanity. They actually offer a version called the BeagleBone Green, which is designed to run more headless. So this one, what that means is not by not hooking it up to actually a monitor and so forth. This one, you do hook up to a monitor. And down here, they have a teeny tiny, this is a micro HDMI port. I've got that correct. Yeah. What I do also like about this one is it's actually got onboard memory. So I don't need to bring in an SD card to actually run this one. Anyway, the latest one, here we are. Now, look, I'm going to treat this like an unboxing. It is not an unboxing. I have to admit, I actually did open this. It arrived in the mail on Friday. So last week, and I haven't really had too much time to play with it. I haven't even powered it up yet. This is a Lat A Panda. Yet again, one of those Kickstarters. This one is a Windows 10 computer. See, right there, in there. And I have not put it through its paces yet at all. Haven't run it at all. What did I just do? There it is right there. This is Windows 10, so it's designed to run Windows 10. It comes with the Windows 10 operating system actually already pre-installed. Again, it's a board that actually has onboard memory, so I can connect external memory. I can even, they do have the SD card slot as well, but it's actually will boot up Windows 10. What am I trying to say? Windows 10. It also has built-in Wi-Fi as well, so I can actually connect Wi-Fi. I don't need anything special. What they did send, which is kind of weird. This is the antenna for the Wi-Fi, and I'm supposed to somehow figure out where this goes on this. I have identified it, but I haven't been able to connect it up, and I'm just like, don't make my life difficult. I'm a nerd, but not that much of a nerd. So, how many computers do I own? I don't want to think. I don't want to count. More than 12, more than 15, less than 30. Okay. This is great. This is a lot of fun. But what's the picture? So here we go. Here's the pitch. How am I doing for time? Have I got plenty of time? Well, yeah, I'm doing plenty of time. What's the big pitch? I believe, I hope I've demonstrated we're in the age of the single board computer. So all these boards that I've shown today, it's a computer on a single board. We're not talking about video cards. We're not talking about sound cards, any of that sort of stuff. And this term single board computer, kind of what they use for generic for the idea of the Raspberry Pi. If you actually do some research, all these are single board computers. Some of them I've actually got, some I've got on order, some I've been told that if I dare buy any more, I'm in trouble, but I'll probably buy them anyway. We're in this age, and I made a big deal at the last Moodle Moot about this idea, about the fact that using Arduino, we can start to connect all these devices together. We can start to actually use, no, skip ahead. I skipped ahead too far. We could actually connect all these sensors into Moodle. We can actually sense data in the real world, and we can change what's actually happening on Moodle. And I firmly believe that. And in fact, yeah, the next slide, we might as well jump ahead to this. I think when we say we're in the age of the single board computer, we're looking at single board computers that are coming out that are more powerful. One of the companies I mentioned earlier, Odoo, their current Kickstarter is for the x86, which is a beast of a machine. It can run 3 4K monitors. I don't have any 4K monitors at my house, but just the fact that I think about this, I'm going to have this on my desktop. Yes, of course I backed it. I'm going to have this on my desktop, and I could potentially plug in 3 very large, very powerful monitors and have those displaying my Linux desktop. I think is amazing. But what I find even more amazing is at the other end of the spectrum. So this is a company that I found not on Kickstarter, on Indiegogo, and I can't remember what link I followed at what point in time to actually get me here. But I came across this, and I thought this is amazing. This is a $1 board. They're selling this as a $1 board. Now, their pitch is very much, if you actually go to Indiegogo and check out this campaign, again, I'm not commercial. I don't have no commercial interest, so if you back it or if you don't, it doesn't affect me. I hope that I haven't offended it. I hope I'm not a pitch man. I hope that's not what you view me as. But if you read their campaign, it's all about STEM. It's all about bringing this into the classroom and getting kids to learn programming, learn hardware, learn about computers, learn about these things. And when we're talking about a $1 board, suddenly that becomes doable. And doable not just for large private schools, it becomes doable for all kinds of schools around the world. And in fact, this campaign, I believe that they're out of Brazil. I might be wrong, somewhere in South America. So it's not even it's one of these developing. Well, Brazil's not really developing, but it's not like it's not a traditional place that you would think of where this technology has come from. They're coming up with these ideas at places where the resources are a little bit more scarce. And I love this idea. I bought 5 because really, what's $5? Well, $5 US, that's about 30 Australian dollars these days. But I just love this idea that, I want to take this board and actually see what it can do. That said, I suspect you will not be running anything super powerful on it because it's a $1 board. It's going to be not super responsive. They've got a long way to go, but they've got 2 months. So I fully believe that they can reach their goal. I wanted to do this just for the lulz. And I thought, this isn't practical. I mean, running Moodle off of the Raspberry Pi is not practical. Even my Raspberry Pi right now, it's kind of died on me. So even though I wanted to show this, sort of like try to do a restore, it's in the background. It's not even coming up. That's okay. That was the whole point of this, was not an actual serious, you should run your Moodle on a Raspberry Pi. You should, please don't. It's probably not the best use of your resources. So when I presented this, I wanted to come back to the same pitch that I've been doing all along. Moodle will fade into the background. I don't mean this as an insult to Moodle. That's actually Martin's words. He said that at the keynote at Moodle Australia. Moodle will fade into the background. What he meant by it is it's going to get easier to use. It's not going to be a big, huge thing that you have to connect to, that you have to wrestle with, that you have to struggle with. He meant it's going to become something more natural and fade into the background. And as soon as I heard that, I said, he's talking Internet of Things. Even if he doesn't know it, he's talking Internet of Things. Moodle is going to fade into the background. It's not going to be the big thing. And as part of that, I was like, it's going to start to take input from all these different sensors, devices, APIs. It's going to collate all that, bring it all together. It's going to drive lessons and activities, and it's all going to happen without even thinking about it. And I believe that's the future of not just Moodle. I believe that's the future of any LMS. I believe it's actually the future of all content management systems. They're going to become more and more connected with this Internet of Things. Once you start to understand what it is and see what some things people have built with it, you'll start to believe that too. So I was going to give that traditional pitch, the whole pitch, that sort of story. But in chatting with a friend of mine earlier this week, she kind of pointed me into a different direction. And it's Lindy. So thank you, Lindy. And she started to, she made it just as a comment. She said, what happens though if, like, for distance learning, you could actually have students running the Moodle, running their course on the board, and they send back the board. So you're no longer dealing with struggling with places where connectivity isn't really great. The student is actually running there, and they're able to run Moodle on their device where it is. And my Moodle has come back up online on the Raspberry Pi. I can't really show you because of the setup. But I could actually do my course on my Raspberry Pi, and then at the end of that, send it back. Even better than that, do I actually even need to send back the Raspberry Pi? Not really, he says as he struggles to find one that has it. You don't need to send back the board. You just have to send back this, the micro SD card. All these boards that I showed today were all powered off a micro SD card. You all know what these are. They go into your camera, they go into your phones. In my case, they all go into the boards. And the idea is that you would send out the board, and the student would perform the activities. And what do they mail back? The micro SD card. And when you're ready to start them on the next course, what do you send them? The micro SD card. This is the operating system. This is the everything. So when you get it back at your school, you'll actually put this into your board and actually see what the student did. Is that doable at $40? Probably not. Is it doable at $15? Well, we're starting to talk about in that price range. Is it doable at $1? Yeah, I think it is. And in the end, what does the student have? They've got a computer that they could repurpose as a video game machine or as a TV desktop device. They could watch their Netflix on it, or they could build new things with it. They could learn how to program Python with it. They could do it for any number of purposes. I love that idea. I love it. I think that this is potentially a new way of doing distance learning. I think it's a short-term solution because I know that in the end we'll all have really great internet. It will just take a while to get here. So I guess the whole point is I like to talk about how the future's now. I like to go around and say, hey, it's coming. This wave of IoT is coming. Sometimes even I forget how now is now. The future is now, and I don't even see the purpose of, oh my gosh, I just need to send the SD card. So really, I believe the future is now. It's 4:30 my time. So that's my half-hour presentation. Maybe that's a little short, but I want to throw it open to questions. I don't know how many questions I can actually answer, but I'll give it my best shot. I wish I could actually show my actual Raspberry Pi. It's stuck here. I don't want to try to debug it in front of the entire room. Anyway, throw it open. While I have a drink of coffee. Do I have discussions? Is there a discussion? Oh. With an external hard drive, Moodle will run faster? Potentially. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's... I totally forgot an entire section of my presentation as I was putting together the slides. Obviously, I've done this all just as experimental. I thought it would be really cool if somebody actually tried using Raspberry Pi, using the Pi 64, using the BeagleBone, and actually tried Moodle on all these devices, maybe came up with a system of benchmarks, of various things to test, and so forth. I think it'd be really great if somebody did that and published the results, maybe at next year's iMoot. Anytime you come up with an idea where you're like, that'd be great if somebody did that, usually that person is you. And considering I have all the boards in front of me, usually that means the person is me. So I think I've got some homework to do. I'd like to actually present benchmarks of which board is best and which board is best per dollar, if that makes any sense. Try to come up with some quantitative value and actually be able to come up with a actual definitive, this board is really your bang for your buck. Okay, so that did not answer that question. How is this different to Poodle, portable Moodle used on a memory stick? Not. It's not. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. Look, I haven't used Poodle. I know what it is. And Justin, a great guy. From what I understand about Poodle, it's you actually plug it in, and you're running the server and everything like that on your memory stick. I think the difference is, well, I don't know. Maybe that's something for me to test. Actually, performance. I would imagine it's probably running faster on a single board computer, depending upon the single board computer, than it would be on your USB. And also, it depends upon your USB because it's also the idea of USB 2 versus USB 3. Typically, look, I do this because in my classes I teach WordPress, and for the students we do WordPress online. Some of them, the beginner ones, they actually do essentially very similar to Poodle. They have a USB where they're running the WordPress off of USB, and the performance is terrible. So I don't know how it would differ. I suppose it depends upon your solution. This is an alternative solution, I guess. I did try it on a Raspberry Pi. Yeah, I went online to actually find some information about. I was hoping I'd be the first person who come up with running Raspberry Pi, running Moodle on Raspberry Pi, and I'm not by a long shot. There's a community out there, a small community, but there's people running Moodle on a Raspberry Pi. You can find them online. I do believe I'm the first person to run Moodle on a Pi 64. Obviously, I can't verify that. I could post it to the community, find out, but I don't think anybody has come up with that. And I did the unboxing and everything like this of the Lat A Panda. You can bet that in the next couple days, next week, I am going to run Moodle on the Lat A Panda, so that way I can claim first on the Lat A Panda. Yeah, I don't know. The scroll is going past me here. Yeah, I think the difference is the hardware cost for the students. Okay, so Poodle still needs a computer to run. Excellent point, Lindy. Although you do have to consider that the Pi Zero, you still need hardware to run it. We still need a monitor, although that could be a television. Keep in mind it's HDMI. Most TVs being made now have HDMI, depends upon their age. So again, when we talk about hardware and costs and stuff like this, yeah, the Poodle would still require a computer, which is obviously more expensive than that. But it's not. Again, it's like when you say this is the $5 computer. Is it the $5 computer? No, it's not. And besides that, I think it says everybody says it's the $5 computer. Actually, I think it's the £5 computer, which is significantly more than $5. Will Moore's law ever mean that in time this could happen? I suspect that's to a previous question. I'm not really sure what. I don't know. Moore's law is interesting. Will it ever? They keep saying it's going to slow down, and it never does. I think that it's amazing what we're building. But in my opinion, it's more distributed than But in your opinion, it's more distributed rather than client server that will take over. Are you following the Modal Mobile app? Okay. So I'm trying to piece together what Gareth and Natalie are asking me. And gosh, I don't have an idea. I don't have an opinion. I think that obviously Modal Mobile is probably the best solution right now. I'm not trying to I would suspect that's probably the best solution because it is just like people just need a mobile phone. Would this be a better solution? Possibly. I don't even know. I guess I'll throw that open to the world. The world will decide what's the best solution. I mean, I'm just a hobbyist. I don't have an agenda to push at all. Yeah, I think have I answered everybody's questions? Please, more discussion, more comments, more questions. Oh, yeah. I apologize for that too. I'm not very good at the online conference. I'm trying to jump from thread, and obviously I've skipped a few threads in there. So in general, with learning distributed systems better than client server architecture. I'm not sure. This is really giving a lot to think about. No, I'm still a web guy at heart. That's what I teach, right? I love playing with the hardware and stuff. I think that there's potential uses for this. There's lots of potential uses for this idea of running a course off of a mobile device, like mobile device, off a single board computer. I think there's lots of potential there. Will it catch up? Will it overtake? And this idea of using Moodle on a mobile device? Probably not, because so many more people have mobile devices. You could do different things, though. I mean, if we're talking about like STEM and we're talking about like teaching programming, I think I dropped Python in there a few times. Raspberry Pi, a lot of people are using it to teach Python. How do you do that on a mobile device? How do you do that on a tablet? It depends upon the type of learning that they're doing. I mean, that's the advantage of this. We can use this to actually build some kind of hardware projects, some maker projects. I guess that's the key advantage of this over the client server sort of thing. Did that answer the question? Maybe I should read the wiki link too. All right, cool. Yeah, it's really great points there. I have to, I think, you're putting a whole lot of technologies that I love against each other. So it's difficult for me to say which one's my favorite. They're all my favorite. I have so much, I believe there's so much potential with mobile devices and mobile learning. And, I'm looking, because one of my passions that I haven't really pursued in a while is, what am I trying to say? What is the word I'm looking for? Content delivered based upon where you are in physical place. Geolocation. Ah, thank you. So one of the things I've spoken about in the past is this idea that I love the idea of a Moodle course, or even any kind of storytelling where the story changes depending upon where you are. So I'm not going to bag out mobile devices at all. You need that to achieve those sort of results. I think it'd be one thing to build a smart tour where you're actually learning as you walk around, say, a campus or a historic site, and you could do storytelling, but beyond that, you could actually get into education, learning, and I love the idea that in the future we will build courses where the content changes depending upon where you are physically located. And I love the idea of building a game based upon that, maybe like a murder mystery. You will not achieve the clues you need to solve the mystery unless you go to the right spot, and maybe even go to the right spots in the right order. Something I really want to build. And again, it's all about time. And I think that there's a couple of interesting technologies for that. GPS. One of the ones that I've really been playing with, well, up until my latest passion, I guess. I switched hobbies a little bit. But I was working with IBeacons last year a little bit, not as much as I wanted to. But I love the idea that iBeacons could be used indoors. And so this idea that we could actually build a smart tour inside a museum, or even like better ways to navigate the airport, like an airport app that will actually change depending upon where you are actually in the terminal. So I love iBeacons. I want to get back into that at some point in time. Perhaps I should stop backing projects on Kickstarter for single board computers. That might help. Wow, I went off on a tangent there. Somebody else give me, are iBeacons cheap? The last time I bought a set from a company here in Australia, and they're a pretty good company. I chatted with the guys a little bit. I just never really got anything off the ground. But I bought 3 for, I believe, $100, which is not super cheap, but not super expensive. Now, this thing that they said was because it was all Bluetooth and low energy Bluetooth, the batteries that I put in meant that just the standard Duracell batteries, AA's, meant the battery life was longer than the tech life. I guess, is that a good way of saying it? Probably by the time I go to change the batteries, I'll want to update my iBeacons, which is pretty cool. I mean, that would be a bad news if it was like on the low end of the spectrum, but they were talking about years rather than, in 2 minutes you'll have to change the battery. Yeah. So it's really interesting. You could connect I should have brought the iBeacons. For tomorrow, for the repeat session, I'll have to bring in the iBeacons. You connect them up to, they have little attachments on the end, and you can hook them up all around your office, your campus, and so forth. Because I only had 3, I never really went too far with that. But I mean, at that price, if you were a large educational, you got to keep in mind, I'm a hobbyist. I'm a one-guy show. If you're an educational institution, you want to set it up all around your campus, I mean, that's not too bad a price. And yeah. Unlike my kids' toys. What does that mean? You have to. What did I say that triggered that? Oh, battery life. Yeah, with toys, it's like what, every 4 hours you have to change the batteries. Yeah, any other questions? Hit me with something. If not, I think we're at 4:45. I'm at 4:44 on my desktop display, so we might have to. Yep.
You are beautifully on time, Scott. That's just fantastic. Thank you very much. Can I invite all of you to join me with thanking Scott for a fantastically inspiring and just fun presentation. Thank you for sharing all the shinies. I have nowhere near as many computers as you, but I am incredibly envious. Thank you so much.
What I might try to do is I might try to record a video of me using Moodle on my Raspberry Pi, and then I'll upload that somewhere. Either I don't know the life after iMoot, how long this stays up, but I'll put it up on my website. I'll put it up somewhere so other people can actually view my results. I'll put it up on YouTube. Maybe we'll see what happens. Perhaps you could share the link in the course space too. Yes, I will. When I watch this space. Follow me on Twitter. I'll tweet it, but I'll definitely go back and update that on iMoot as well. All right. Ta-da. Thank you. Yes, I'm very active on Twitter too. Everybody follow me. It was great to see a lot of people that I knew too. So yeah, I didn't get to say hi to Nat when she came in. Hi, Nat. And yeah, it was great to see Joyce. And yeah, some great new people to meet too. Gareth was actually asking lots of questions. I totally forgot something. Somebody made really shiny slides, and they posted on Twitter last night. And I felt like, oh, my slides suck. So here we go. On the first page here, that's Starburst right there. I promise I made that scratch and sniff. If you scratch that, it will smell like the office at your office. It will smell like the monitors at your office.
And with that, I'm going to close off the recording of this presentation.